this right here, the reporting was from the New York Post. The defendants, 30 unindicted co-conspirators and others known and unknown to the grand jury, constituted a criminal organization whose members and associates engaged in false statements and writings, impersonating a public officer, forgery, filing false documents, influencing witnesses, computer theft, computer trespass, computer invasion of privacy, conspiracy to defraud the state, acts involving theft, and perjury. My God, when we say through the kitchen sink, Adam William Jacobson, Cornell Law Professor, the mind behind legalinsurrection.com, that's the kitchen sink. My point earlier about, they may actually have some things because there were phone calls, because there were text messages, is that this seems to be the Hail Mary play. Throw everything out there and hopefully grab Trump on one thing. And since you're going after all 19 at the same time under this racketeering rule in Georgia, the RICO predicate, as I know how to say it, maybe you could just grab someone somewhere and therefore take Trump down. So two things. What is this about everybody being charged together? Because Fannie Williams, the DA there, has said, yes, she's trying everybody at the same time. And is it the kind of situation utilizing that RICO statement, those racketeering statutes, that if they get one, they get everybody?
Well, it's not only the 19 people or 18 people who've been charged. It's, as you say, up to 30 additional people, potentially. This reminds me very much of the John Doe investigations in Wisconsin, where they essentially froze for the better part of a year, a Democrat prosecutor, the entire conservative movement in Wisconsin, because they not only went after people, they instilled such fear throughout the conservative movement, and nobody ended up getting convicted of anything. But it was a political ploy, and that's what this smells like. Naming 18 people plus 30 potential more seems like an attempt to freeze the Republican Party. That you don't know if you're one of those 30 people. You don't know if the person you're talking to is one of those 30 people. So that's why this smells so bad to me. This looks like an attempt to take down a political party.
Whoa. I'm going to interrupt you. I never interrupt you. Go back over that again.
Sure.
You're saying that there are, I think the term utilized is unindicted co-conspirators.
Right.
And you're saying that the number out there, I don't know what the number is. You can hit it again. You don't know who it is. You don't know who it could be. So therefore, everybody's going to think that everybody's the unindicted co-conspirator. So they're not going to be able to work together, because then Fannie Williams, the DA there in Fulton County, could go after them.
Yeah. And that's what happened in Wisconsin with what was called the John Doe investigations. I think it was about 3 years ago. I might be off on the number of years ago, but it wasn't that long ago, 3 to 4 years ago, where they essentially froze the entire conservative movement by subpoenaing and raiding the homes of, conservative activists under this John Doe law, which has since been revised dramatically. It was actually thrown out by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but they froze the whole movement. And so this suggests to me, unlike some of the others, that this is an attempt to freeze the Republican Party, or at least the half of the Republican Party that supports Donald Trump. That half of the party now has to wonder if the person they're talking to and communicating with is having their communications monitored, because they're one of these unindicted co-conspirators. So it's a very, to do something this broad with this many people, to me, doesn't smack that you're trying to actually prosecute somebody. If somebody broke into a computer system, they could have been separately charged. They could have been charged 2 years ago. If somebody impersonated an officer, they could have been separately charged. I'm not excusing those crimes. All I'm saying is to wrap them into this huge bundle and to put so many people into it and to have unindicted co-conspirators, to me, looks like they're trying to freeze the half of the Republican Party that supports Donald Trump.
Talking to William Jacobson, Cornell Law Professor, the mind behind legalinsurrection.com. So in a way, I did have the basic understanding. If they can get one, they can get everybody. And if they can get a jury to say, yeah, that guy did something, therefore everybody's guilty of everything, correct?
Exactly. And that's the whole point here, that if you are in any conspiracy, and RICO is essentially at its core a conspiracy statute, that anyone who furthers the efforts of the conspiracy, even if what you did yourself was not illegal, could be held for the criminal conspiracy. And that's what they're trying to do by lumping so many people in. They're taking what for particular individuals might be very weak factual bases. They allege they're part of this criminal enterprise. Now, what they've pleaded for a criminal enterprise wouldn't survive in federal court, I don't believe, but apparently Georgia has more lenient standards when it comes to their RICO statute.
And this is where the rubber meets the road, because your breakdown, I accept. I there were some things I wasn't 100% sure of, and I think you explained it well, and I very often defer to you and your view of these things, which don't come from a political basis, even though you've got political thoughts and feelings. It comes from, here's what it says, here's what it looks like. Because this is Georgia, because this is not a federal indictment, and because this is nothing like the Alvin Bragg case in New York, can Trump avoid jail time, or is this one that puts Trump in jail? I think they're going to try and put Trump in jail from the indictment from Jack Smith, the special counsel. This in Georgia, do you think Trump's going to go to jail for this?
Well, if he's convicted, and that we're a ways away from that. If he is convicted, as I understand Georgia law, we're all becoming experts on Georgia law very quickly, is that there are mandatory minimum sentences under the RICO statute, and that they can't be pardoned by the governor, that you'd have to go through a commission there, a pardon commission, and you have to serve a certain percentage of your time. So it does, and it can't be pardoned by the president of the United States. So, Alvin Bragg is a completely garbage indictment. I think everybody knows that. This one, if it goes through, it will have to survive the Georgia court system. And I think the U.S. Supreme Court would take a case involving this state RICO statute, although the Supreme Court won't interpret state law. It will see whether any federal rights have been violated. And what I think is, if I had one overall take on what's happening, is how outrageous it is that local prosecutors can involve themselves in charging crimes in federal elections when you've already got the Department of Justice doing the same thing. This looks like, Georgia is trying to create a backstop, that if for some reason the federal suit against Trump fails, that Georgia will be waiting there as a second shot at him.